Hi Travis, this is CTB Ram with SimplyMaya.com. I took a look at your video and it looks to me that when you get to that last window pane, the problem that you're experiencing is that you're getting twisting from the bridge operation. When you did the first window, you had the same thing happening and you used the offset of the bridge node to straighten out the twisting. The edges, when they were being bridged, weren't going to an edge directly across from one another, and that's what the offset controls. You'll also get some weird twisting if you've got mismatched normals. But just to quickly demonstrate, if I go and create a polygon plane, I'm going to just create a very simplified version of your window frame there, which was what, 2 by 4, and then do this, and then do a extrude on that and keep faces together off. Okay, that's sort of the window shape you had there, and if I take this thing and give it some thickness. Now, something to note, when I model with two-sided lighting unchecked. By default, this will be turned on under the lighting tab here. And with this turned off, if my normals are backwards, the faces will be black. You see, the normals of this surface are facing out, so I see the default Lambert shader, but from the back side it's black. If I have two-sided lighting checked, it looks like the normals are correct from both sides. The reason I like to model with two-sided lighting turned off is I can very quickly see which way my normals are facing. If you do bridging operations and your normals aren't facing the right way, like if this surface was facing out, if you can imagine having cut out these windows and the frame is left and the frame is facing out here, but the frame is facing the wrong way on this side, when you try to bridge, you'll never be able to get the edges to look correctly, to bridge correctly. You'll get this weird bow tying happening, and that's usually an indication that you've got your normals messed up, and that's why Gecht was suggesting that you verify your normals are correct in this particular case. So if I continue here with this example though, and add some thickness to this, I can demonstrate better what happens. I've got two-sided lighting off, and if I extrude this thing down, you see my normals get reversed. So now the whole surface, both sides, the normals are reversed. And in this particular case, if I extract these window pieces and then try to bridge the frame parts, I wouldn't get any. I would be able to do it. I wouldn't get any weird twisting, but my entire surface would have its normals reversed in the end. Where you get into problems is if this side the normals were facing out and on this side the normals were facing in, and you try to bridge between these two faces, you'd never get it to work properly. That's called non-manifold geometry. So anyway, let me back up a step here, and you can see if I pull it, instead of extruding it down, I extrude it up, my normals stay facing the same direction. So it really doesn't matter. I could have done it the other way and then just reverse the normals, but that's something to keep an eye out for, and it's a useful tip to uncheck this two-sided lighting, or use this two-sided lighting to help you quickly determine which way your normals are facing. So then the next thing that you did was went in and we selected all these faces, which are going to eventually be the window panes, I'm assuming, and you extracted them. Now, in this case, look over here, I have the polyplane, which this thing was originally built from, and it's you see there's no plus over here, so it's just a single polygonal object. If I go in and I do the extraction, after the extraction, this turns into a group. Maya has had this behavior since forever, either extracting or duplicating faces. It creates a group that contains all of the faces that you've extracted or duplicated. And the issue you can have with this is that this also creates a transform node down here, and that can cause you some problems later on when you try to manipulate these objects. So after I do my extractions and duplications, I generally, as a matter of habit, delete the history. Once again, that's something Gecht suggested that you check that you do. Delete the history, and you see that transform node goes away. It's particularly problematic if you've done a lot of transforms and you have transform history on this object before you do the extraction. What will happen then is if you try to pick an individual piece, say this just this one window frame here, and you try to manipulate it, it'll act really unexpectedly, and that's because it's getting multiple transforms, because you still have basically any child of a group shares all of the transform history of the parent. So another thing that I'll sometimes do is, just to avoid that, is extract the pieces from this group and make them separate parts. But in this case it doesn't really hurt us, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I come in here and select just this outer part here, I can see that this is the polygon that represents what's going to be the outer frame, so I'm going to move it to the top of the stack. This is just so that I can quickly grab all of the windows and hit Control H to hide them. And now you can see that the normals are facing out because the inside of this frame is black and the outside is the color of the shader if I look on the bottom and the top. So I know that my normals, when I bridge from this edge to this edge, will be facing inward, right? So now what you did is go through and double click to select the front edge and double click to select the entire loop of the back edge, and then just do a bridge. And what we see is that these guys aren't bridging directly across from one another. We've got twisting going on, and that's what this bridge offset control of the bridge node does. What I usually do, rather than manually put a number in here, is I'll select the bridge offset itself, and then holding the middle button down you can scrub, and as you scrub you see that that will change, and it takes 2 to get these guys lined up properly. If I go to 1 or 0, that's what we get. If I go to 1, oh, looks like 1 straightens it out as well. 2, yeah, 2 or 3. It's a little twitchy, so let me go to 2. Looks like 2 works as well. That's kind of odd. And then 3, you see I get twisting again. And you said at some points you even get this whole thing to collapse, so it looks like it's in a single, like it's all crossed. And watch what happens when I go. I'm pretty sure if I go to start going to higher numbers, that's exactly what we'll see. So now I'm twisting this thing really wacky. It's trying to bridge this edge to this far edge over here, and it's just getting all messed up. So you can sit there and scrub this, and it's cyclic, so I can go to 22 and I'm back to normal again. So it is cyclic. That's why it works for both 1 and 2. So when I get to an offset of 1, so if you do that for all of these faces or all of these edges here, if I bridge again, bridge, and what will happen is, see, I'm getting twisting again, so come up here, grab the offset and scrub it till I get something that works, and then do that for every one of these remaining edges. Oop. There we go. And bridge. And go to the offset. There we go. And I'll just go down to the last window just like you did. I'll just, because this is all I'm going to do here. Now, one thing to note is, like, sometimes they're not always the same. So you don't know what number you need to put in that offset. That's why I use the scrub option to take the middle mouse and scrub it until I get the right orientation. There it's 1. Sometimes it might take 4. Sometimes it's not always the same. So if you're following a tutorial and it tells you, put a number 1 in the offset, the bridge offset, and it'll fix the problem, it might fix it for that particular model in the tutorial, but it may be a different number for you, and that's why the scrubbing of that is something that I try to do, or that I always do, and just scrub it until you get the edges to match up properly. And actually there's only 4 left, so I'll just go through and bridge them all and hit the offset, and in this case offset. And I can also just use the G key to repeat here. I can pick this loop and this loop and just hit the G key and then go to offset. It looks like 1's going to do it for everything, and now I'm down to the last window thing here, and if I grab this edge and this edge and I bridge it, see, and then I just come up here and scrub this offset. Boom, there it is. And now what divisions do is, watch right here, all divisions are going to do is create a number of faces that go between these edges. So if I scrub divisions, there's 1, and this is a good thing that I did this. Notice that all of a sudden it put a division in, but I lost my shader And that is something that has been happening in versions of Maya. I believe I saw this starting in Maya 2010. So it's something that was introduced in a version of Maya fairly recently, and the way to correct this behavior, if you see it, is just select your object, go down to existing materials, and reapply your shader, and voila, magically the problem goes away. So if I grab this bridge operation, I've got divisions 1. If I scrub that to 2, to 3, to 4. So that's all the bridging is doing, is controlling the number of edges that get created. So they're back down to none. And there's that window frame with everything bridged properly, and I think it's simply the offset control that you need to worry about. Hope this helps you out, and good luck with your model.